Hello everyone, welcome into Above My Pay Grade. My name is Eric. Thanks for tuning in. If you could hit that like button, hit subscribe, really helps out the channel. Thanks much. Another central bank digital currency has failed, this time in Nigeria. And this gives me hope. Why? Because the free market outpaces government when it comes to innovation every time. Give me an example of when the government has implemented a technology and the free market didn't basically innovate around them. So if it's a technology that people want, this one being blockchain, how is the free market not going to innovate around them? They will. And why the government wants to use central bank digital currencies is pretty evident, because it is exactly the same fiat system they use today with more control, with more tracking ability, with less privacy for you. And this one in Nigeria, they tried to get adoption, but it wasn't there. So let's read through this article. This one's from Zero Hedge. I'll link it in the description below. Central bankers, academics, politicians, and an assortment of elites over 100 countries are hoping to launch their central bank digital currency, have been closely following the e-Naira, which is Nigeria's new currency. The jury is now in. The e-Naira was a massive failure. According to Bloomberg, and I'll tell you why it was a failure, because these people have adopted digital currency before, just not this one. According to Bloomberg, only 1 in 200 Nigerians use the e-Naira. That's even after the government implemented discounts and other incentives as desperate measures to increase adoption. And I think this might happen in the United States. I saw a poll out the other day that 63% of Americans are somewhat in favor of more stimmy checks to fight inflation, more stimmy checks. And the government will lie to them. And these people are naive, unfortunately. They're not stupid, but they are not economists, and they don't need to be. But they are under the impression that more money, more currency units will make things cheaper, and the government will lie to them and tell them that they will. And I think the same thing will happen with the central bank digital currency to get adoption. They will say, hey, if you log into this account and you get this digital currency, you will get cheaper goods. You will get free currency units if you log into this account and start using the adoption. And if that doesn't work, they'll use force. So in Nigeria, they started to use discounts. Hey, if you use the e-Naira, then everything will be great and everything will be cheaper. And Nigerians didn't fall for it. Here's the interesting thing. Nigeria has one of the highest Bitcoin adoption rates in the world. So it's not like these people are not, technology was the barrier. It was that they didn't want to use this central bank digital currency from the government. They like Bitcoin, and I'll get into why, but they didn't want to adopt this central bank digital currency. Nigeria has a history of devaluing its currency, the government devaluing its currency. So if the government comes out with this newfangled electronic version of the exact same thing, why would you trust it? Which has always been my base case for the dollar. I'm like, okay, if people don't trust the dollar, and you're like, hey, now it's a digital dollar, why are people going to trust it? You're going to have to buy them. You're going to have to increase adoption through coercion and bribery, essentially. Nigeria has a long history of rampant currency debasement, including 6 devaluations in recent years. So, newfangled thing, why would they trust it? So here's a couple differences between a central bank. If you're new to this topic, here's a couple differences between central bank digital currencies and Bitcoin, because they adopted Bitcoin. And if you're one of those people that shrugs off Bitcoin and you say it's, a scam, a Ponzi scheme, you can have that thought, but make sure it's informed. Read about it. Read why people like it. Read why people don't like it. But here's why Nigerians like it. Couple differences. The reality is central bank digital currency and Bitcoin are entirely different in some fundamental ways. Number one, you have to ask for permission from the government to use a central bank digital currency. And they can turn it off and turn it on based off what you're buying with it. So you have to go to the government and hope that centralized powers are not going to debase just like they did everything else. And you got to wonder, if this has no technological advantage for you, why would a government want it? because it has technological advantages for the government. It's basically the same thing as the regular fiat that you've been using. It's just more beneficial for government. Why? They can watch you. They can track every movement. There's no right to privacy, yada, yada, yada. Central bank currencies are centralized and Bitcoin is decentralized. This is 100% fundamental. Who's the CEO of Bitcoin? How do you shut it down? If you answer that question, you'll realize why people like it. Because there is no central authority. It's decentralized, meaning it's very hard to change the protocol, if not impossible. It's very hard to shut down, if not impossible. And it's permissionless. You can sign up and start trading in Bitcoin. And so it's a free market. People adopt it or they don't. And it's not forced. All right? There's no privacy in central bank digital currencies. However, in Bitcoin, there's specific steps that are possible to maintain your privacy. In short, central bank digital currencies are a pathetic attempt to compete with Bitcoin, and this I agree with. They're using blockchain technology, so there's not really a middleman. The bank is the federal government of whatever country you're in. And I don't know how they're going to implement it in the United States, but I would say be cautious. Part of this channel is to educate people on why it might be dangerous. But to say that human beings, if offered free stuff, wouldn't take it, I think is naive. But you and I understand that a central bank digital currency, if fiat fails, which it's failing, why would putting fiat on a blockchain make it better? Ask yourself that question. And if people are pissed at the dollar and they're pissed at inflation, and you say, hey, we got this brand new fangled thing, that's the dollar on the blockchain, tell me how that's better. It's not. It's not. You need a denominator that's fixed. And that denominator that's fixed, in my opinion, is Bitcoin. It could be gold, it could be silver, but one that can't, a denominator when it comes to your wealth and how much wealth is out there, that denominator is infinite when it comes to fiat. They can just print it. So you work all day for these currency units that they just print out of thin air. And that's what people want to get away from. That's why they like Bitcoin in Nigeria. That's why they don't like central bank digital currencies. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to read more about this, I'll link it in the description. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you guys in the next one. Peace.